May, I know where they're taking your clan.
This is definitely the most slept on Planet of the Apes movie, and it deserved way more hype. Before we get into today's movie, this is part of my 25-day Christmas movie marathon where I'll be dropping a new review every single day this month. And today's movie is Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, a movie that deserved a lot more hype than it got. This movie takes place 300 years after the events of War of the Planet of the Apes, and Caesar's legacy has become legend. His teachings have been twisted, forgotten, and weaponized by different ape clans. This movie follows Noah, a young ape from a peaceful eagle clan who gets thrown into a conflict he never asked for when a tyrant named Proximus Caesar destroys his village and enslaves his people. And this movie drops you right into the world and lets you figure it out at the same time as Noah. And what makes the setup work is how grounded it feels. This isn't a big war movie, it's a personal story about a kid trying to save his family while learning that the world is way more complicated than he ever thought. And something I appreciated the most about the concept is how it balances being a continuation of the franchise while also feeling like a fresh start. You don't need to have seen any of the previous movies to understand what's happening, but if you have, the weight of Caesar's legacy and how it's been corrupted adds a whole other layer to the story. And I'm glad they didn't just do a full reboot, because I love the original movies and I don't think anyone could play Caesar like Andy Serkis did. Oh, and the visuals and CGI are insane. The apes design, the land design, and everything in between is great. The motion capture technology has come so far that you forget you're watching CGI. The apes actually feel real, like their expressions, their movements, and the way they interact with the environment. All of it feels alive. All the overgrown ruins, the massive landscapes, and environments that feel both familiar and completely foreign. And I want to point out some of the cast, which are I think the three main characters, which would be Owen Teague, Freya Allen, and Kevin Durant. They all do insanely well. Every character is polished and understandable. Proximus is menacing and a really compelling villain. He's not just evil for the sake of being evil. He genuinely believes he's doing what's best for the apes, and he's twisting Caesar's legacy to justify his empire, and that makes him feel dangerous in a way most villains don't. And Noah is just the underdog trying to do the right thing to protect and save his people. Owen Teague brings this vulnerability and determination to the role that makes you root for him even when he's in way over his head. And May is the human counterpart. Freya Allen plays her with this quiet intensity that makes you question her motives the entire movie. You're never quite sure if she's an ally or a threat, and the tension really keeps you on the edge of your seat. And Raka. He is easily my favorite character in this movie. Like, his arc and overall character is just so cool to me. I can't point out one thing that made him like me more than the others, but he was easily the most outstanding character in my opinion. He's this wise orangutan who still believes in Caesar's true teachings. He's kind, he's curious, and he's very optimistic in a world that becomes cynical and brutal. And the way he interacts with Noah and May brings this warmth to the movie that makes his presence so memorable. Quick, I want to point this out. The performances from all the actors are incredible. Everyone commits fully to their role, and the motion capture work is some of the best I've ever seen. The scene where Raka is in the water is so photorealistic that VFX artists called it one of the best shots they've ever seen. That's the level of detail this movie operates on. Now, not everything is perfect, so I want to talk about something that didn't work for me. I feel like they didn't really know who they wanted the main character to be. You see the story through Noah's eyes, but they randomly swap it to focus on May. But honestly, they do it well enough for it not to be too distracting. May kind of felt like a human in a Transformers movie, if you get what I'm saying. Like, you can tell the human stories through the apes. You don't need a human for that. You get what I'm saying? And if you want me to be honest, the movie's at its strongest when it's following Noah and the apes, but when it shifts focus to May, the pacing sometimes feels a bit off. She's an interesting character, don't get me wrong, but her arc doesn't always feel as fleshed out as it could be, and because the movie splits its attention, neither storyline gets as much depth as it should. But I'm almost certain this movie's gonna get probably a second and third, and they're gonna do a whole new trilogy, so going forward we'll get the depth that we missed out in this movie, so I'm not too worried about it. And really quickly, I kind of went over this earlier, but I love how they didn't just do a full reboot. They continued the story from the older movies just really far into the future. This decision gives the movie weight. You see the long-term consequences of Caesar's actions, how his legacy has been twisted, how different clans interpret his teachings, and that really adds like an extra layer to the actual world itself. And I also really like how the movie doesn't give you easy answers. No one wants to believe that apes and humans can coexist peacefully, but May's actions by the end of the movie make you question whether that's even possible. And the moral ambiguity of Kingdom also makes it just feel different from the old movies, which you don't just want to, which like I said, I would not have liked them to just repeat what they've done before. I'm excited to see where they go because they have a open book and they have a fresh story they can tell. But now I want to talk about the best, or what I like to call in my videos, the golden moment. And that moment is when Rocka sacrifices himself to save May during the flooding bridge scene. It's an emotional gut punch and perhaps the most moving moment of the entire movie. Rocka believed in Caesar's teachings about compassion and coexistence, and in that moment he proved it wasn't just words. He gave his life to protect someone he barely knew because he believed it was the right thing to do. The scene reframes the entire movie. It's not just about survival, it's about what you're willing to sacrifice for what you actually believe in. And now really quick, I want to talk about why I think this movie works overall, and that's because it understands that the Planet of the Apes franchise has always been about more than just action. It's about identity, legacy, and what happens when ideals get corrupted over time. Noah's journey mirrors Caesar's in a lot of ways. Both are thrust into a leadership they never asked for. Both have to decide what kind of world they want to build, and both realize that the hardest battles aren't physical, they're moral. The movie also works because it respects the audience. It doesn't over-explain everything. It doesn't hold your hand. It trusts that you'll understand the themes without spelling them out. And because of that, the emotional moment hit harder. The action feels earned, and the end actually leaves you thinking about where it's going to go next. And I say this in every video, but no movie is perfect. But this one is definitely worth the watch. If you haven't seen it and it sounds like something you'd like, check it out. I think it's the most slept on Planet of the Apes movie. And if you have, I hope you agree with my opinion. Thanks for watching today's review. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to subscribe. I'll be dropping a new video every single day this month for my 25 days of Christmas movie marathon. Tomorrow's review is the big one, and trust me, you don't want to miss it. In the meantime, feel free to check out yesterday's video if you haven't already. And as always, stay curious and let's keep the conversation going.